to the Villa Fuller podcast here. My good friend Dan Wiseman. How you doing, Dan?
Always good to be here, mate.
Good to be back. Now, been the international break, obviously. We got a podcast out for you last week. We thought before we got into the main topic of the podcast, which is, Grealish and obviously previewing Newcastle, we'd have a look at the comment section of the last podcast because, in typical fashion, it was filled with Wolves fans.
Interesting. That's rare, isn't it? Wolves fans obsessing over the Villa.
I know.
Doesn't happen often.
Not at all, mate. Not at all. I don't know if you've seen these comments at all.
I haven't actually. So please enlighten me.
Here we go. Okay, so it's actually kind of disappointing that we didn't have any Villa fans comment, but this is funny in itself. As a Wolves fan, I expect you had injuries, and I make no bones about that. To most Villa fans, I think your squad is equal. Most Villa fans, think your squad is equal to that of Wolves, and that astounds me. You have 2 or 3 decent players. And then you're very thin on the ground. Your striker's piss poor in my opinion, and a bad buy. We all have them, and I'm not convinced with Cutrone yet. But fans, we hope for the best. You have to beat Newcastle because you're looking at 3 fixtures after that. If things go bad, you could be in a relegation battle by Christmas.
Wow, I've written essays shorter than that.
Yeah, literally.
Wow.
Where did they get the time?
There's so much to discuss there, mate. I don't even know where to begin. I think the results showcase, if anything, that we actually aren't that far behind Wolves.
Yeah.
Like the game was, we weren't very good. I thought it was probably our worst performance of the season, to be honest with you. And they only just scraped by us. There's so much to pick out in there. Jesus.
Honestly. Relegation battle by Christmas. I mean, it weren't only 2 weeks ago that they were in a relegation battle, was
Jesus.
it?
Mate.
This one is from Paul 2011. And he quoted either me or you. I think we both said this. I don't think the Wolves were that good. Haha, you're kidding me. We totally outplayed you the entire match. And if it wasn't for a day off by Raul Jimenez, it could have been 4 or 5s. You have been using that excuse saying you just weren't up for the fight. But in reality, you were outplayed by a much better football inside. Also, bear in mind, we played Thursday night, so we weren't even sharp as we could have been. So enough of the poor excuses, guys.
So enough of the poor excuses, but we're discussing Thursday night
and off day by Raul Jimenez. And I think we said that as well, that on a different day, Wolves would have taken their chances.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think we were fair in saying that, but Wolves weren't great.
Yeah, I think we've got to just maybe put out an apology to the Wolves section of our subscribers, which apparently is quite a lot. So I'm sorry if I've offended any of you guys, and we thank you for tuning in, as you so clearly do. It means a lot.
Hit the like button next time,
Absolutely,
guys.
absolutely. It wouldn't do any harm, would it?
And then we got one from a day ago from Alan Cook. This one was edited, so there must have been a few spelling mistakes in this.
Brilliant.
We're not surprised.
Even better.
Villa thinking, as they do, fans not admitting Wolves' team and tactics in the way in front. What? Then Villa, in their own concept, are sleepwalking into relegation. I mean, grammatically, that was shocking. I'm going to put that on the screen.
Yeah, if we are going to comment, guys, can we at least make them kind of readable, basically? That's all we ask for here, really. Positivity or negativity is allowed in the comment section, just as long as we can make sense of it, to be honest with you. I'd love to discuss that comment, to be honest with you. But
I don't know where we go with that, mate. I don't know. Oh, here we go. This is a kind of nice one from a Wolves fan, actually.
Oh well.
But, I mean, talk about war and peace. This is huge. Good blog. Thank you.
Nice.
Yes, so except Grealish might have made a difference, but that was the easiest Wolves performance in some time. Bearing in mind we're a counter-attacking team playing without our main defender Willy Bolly. If we hadn't have played Thursday, we wouldn't have tired the last 30 minutes. But to say we didn't create much other than Neves' excellent goal from the free kick, I'd be reminding you that Jota's screamer tipped over. Well, it weren't a screamer because it didn't go in. At point blank range header that he didn't connect with. A dribble right through, blocked late by your defender. Jimenez and his goal, plus 3 of the shots just from the wide positions. Traore had a thunderbolt against the bar. Doherty had an early shot blocked only by Mings. Neto had a great chance at the end, far and wide. That's 8 pretty good chances apart from the goal. 3 or 4 of them very good chances. Best of luck, but this was a one-sided game to Wolves, as the Villa 2-1 was for Villa a week or 2 back. Oh, okay, so saying it was one-sided like the other week. The 2-1 flattered Villa, but I accept all rounds. It was a bad day off for the office for you boys and a good one for ours. That's very complimentary to Wolves. It's very complimentary to Villa as well. But to list off all the chances like that, that's...
If their easiest game of the season was scraping by 2-1 at home, then Wolves are in trouble this season.
Yeah,
I tell you.
They're the ones.
If that's been the easiest game of your season so far, then you need to watch out, because that doesn't bode well. Yeah, I mean, Villa fans, where are you? We're being outnumbered here in our own comment sections.
It's a joke. We need you guys to like, subscribe and comment.
Absolutely, let's get that in a big way this time, guys.
Honestly. So I think we'll leave it there because they're all quite ineligible.
I'll start getting quite irate, mate.
Honestly, I mean, what a way to start the day. I think the best place to lead off from that is a man who still triggered Wolves fans, and he weren't even on the pitch. Jack Grealish. Obviously, the international break is over now. Club football returns this week, and Jack Grealish wasn't included in the England squad. Again, we've discussed this on the podcast. Surprised somewhat, but not really, because we know what Gareth Southgate is like. But the thing that got me with this was the comments he made the week before the break, where he compared Jack in the bracket of Hudson-Odoi, Sterling, Rashford, and labelled him as a winger. What do you think about that?
Well, this is the only problem that I can see that's come out of Dean moving Jack to the left wing. I mean, he plays on the left wing. You know, if you're designing the team sheet on paper and you know, or on a whiteboard or whatever, Grealish, in a 4-3-3, you would have as the left winger. But in game, he doesn't really play there, does he? Obviously, he comes inside, and for me, he's still more of an 8. And yeah, but I think even if you are comparing him to players like Hudson-Odoi, I think he's got so much more of a right to be in that England team.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, Dan, mate, the first England squad, I could completely understand Jack's, Jack not being included. I didn't think he'd hit his peak, and there are probably other players in the league that deserve the call it more. And I think until Maddison had started for England, which I believe was only the other day, he got that first one, I thought Grealish should wait because players like Maddison are far more deserving of that England debut than Jack is. But given the month that he just had, I thought he was excellent. 3 goal involvements in his last 3 games, obviously before he got injured. Maybe that injury played a little part in it, but I was surprised we didn't see him in there, to be honest with you.
It's quite disappointing, really. I think, again, as I've kind of touched on before, the frustrations for me come from Southgate's comments, because he can't seem to make his mind up how he's going to select his team, whether it is on merit or performance, or whether you play in the top 6, which kind of baffles me when I hear Leicester fans complain about the top 6 bias because they're third and Maddison and Chilwell are in there. But I mean, with the injuries as well, I mean, obviously what happened with Sterling as well, that whole situation. If you are going to compare him with Sterling, okay, surely that's a free spot.
Yeah.
There's a winger free.
Yeah.
Why is he not in the squad? Delph was injured. Rice wasn't injured, but there was a few other injuries in that sort of midfield area. Players who withdrew and just didn't get the call up. It's just a bit frustrating at this point.
Yeah, I mean, you start to wonder now if you Jack what more you have to do, because obviously there were calls for Jack to get the England call up last season. From sections of Villa fans and I believe some of the wider community actually. Obviously, I kind of do believe that is too early, and I think if you should be playing in the Premier League if you are to be playing for England. So Jack gets promoted, captains the side, has a relatively good start to the season, then has a really good stretch of games, leading into an international break.
Nominated for Player of the Month.
Exactly, and you've got players like Hudson-Odoi who I believe when the squad was announced hadn't started a league game for Chelsea in over a month. Ross Barkley is another one which frustrates me because he plays well for England. I will give him that. I do criticise Ross Barkley on a club level, but he pulls on that England shirt and morphs into prime Frank Lampard recently. Yeah. Apparently, he's been excellent. But we're basing. Gareth has said so many times that he's basing this England squad on who's in form, like at club level. Ross Barkley might be in form internationally, but he's not the man for Chelsea. Grealish deserves to be in there completely, in my opinion.
Ahead of Mason Mount as well.
Absolutely.
Mount is a very talented player, but 6 months in the Premier League.
Jack's been doing this for a long time. He's 24 now. He's of an age where he needs to start representing his country. I made that switch obviously from Ireland to England all that time ago, and he needs to start reaping the rewards of that. And he must be thinking, what more do I have to do? Because to be honest with you, obviously the 2 other Villa players got called up. I know Tom withdrew, but of all the England players, it's Jack that's most deserving of being in there because, you know, I know we discussed this last week that I do think Mings' form has dropped off since the last England call up. I think he wasn't particularly great the other night against Kosovo either. If there's a Villa player that should be playing for England now, it's undoubtedly Jack Grealish.
Definitely, mate. And I think, again, it's so frustrating, and I've said time and time before, I'm not bothered that if Jack doesn't play because it's one less player we've got to worry about injury-wise, but it's not just Villa fans now that are seeing his ability, because for so long Jack has been a player that has just been hated because he's got the long hair, the short shin pads and socks, and just he's got a bit of swagger about him that if you're not from Birmingham or a Villa fan, you just don't get.
Yeah.
Because he's got that, I represent the club sort of attitude, which seems to repulse every other fan. But he's the kind of, if he played for your team, you'd love him.
Absolutely.
That's just facts. And hearing Tim Sherwood come out and say that it's probably too late for him now, I get what he's saying, because I mean, if you look at Grealish is 23. Obviously, when you're looking comparing it to other players, Raheem Sterling's 23, and he's now being considered world class. But then looking at other players who have recently come in the fold, I mean, Tom Heaton, it's different for a goalkeeper. You can be old in goal like that. That doesn't make a difference. Tyrone Mings, Oxlade-Chamberlain, both 26 years old, coming into the fold or being reintroduced in Chamberlain's case. I don't know whether I agree whether it's too late for him, but I can see where he's coming from, because you're going to have to build a team around him. Like, he's going to be the focal point of the team. I think, for me, an absolutely magnificent England midfield would be Winks, Grealish and Maddison. There'd be no balance whatsoever. Winks would have a hell of a job, but on paper that midfield is absolutely magnificent. I don't know who you could put in there to make that more balanced. Maybe the Ox or Henderson. But Southgate seems to insist on playing 2 6s anyway, so even if Jack got the call up, it's not very likely he'd even make it in the starting 11.
Yeah, it's a shame really, mate, because you do kind of look, with the way that this England squad is going, and we're seeing players like Hudson-Odoi play for England before they played for Chelsea. Obviously his debut came before he'd actually pulled on a Chelsea shirt, which is just unheard of, really. And you can agree with it, you can disagree with it, but it's the way that Southgate and the FA are clearly looking to build this England side. And Jack does need to be looking over his shoulder, because, as I said, there are players like that who are coming through, and the younger that they are and the earlier that Southgate can get them into the England setup and get them used to that surroundings and kind of build for long-term success, the better. And that perhaps does take your attention away from players like Grealish. But the one thing I did want to highlight, which I think if Jack plays for England, then a lot of people get off his back, because I think a wider group of people would kind of, everyone that plays for England we support, we get behind regardless of the club that they're from, and I think people would actually kind of see the light a little bit. And I think one of the areas, especially where he'd convince people, is defensively. Yeah. Because I don't think he actually gets a lot of, since he's been moved to the left wing, obviously he hasn't got that kind of responsibility, so he doesn't kind of do it as much in the last few games. But he's averaging kind of, I think it's just over a block a game, 2 tackles, interceptions. He's it does really well in midfield, especially winning the ball back. I really like his hunger and his tenacity on the defensive end, and he's becoming a really good two-way player. And perhaps that's maybe what players like Mount lack, is that physicality. Jack's definitely stronger. He's definitely better defensively. Mason Mount is a fantastic player, but those are the kind of players that Grealish is going to be competing against. And unfortunately, you mentioned the top 6 buyers playing for Chelsea in that young Frank Lampard side, which has so many English players in it. And I've got to be fair, I do think if England are going to win anything, I think by about 2024, I think about 70% of that England side might play for Chelsea. Such is the wealth of English talent they've got coming through, and those are probably more attractive to Southgate right now, because they play together on a more regular basis. They've obviously have more of a history in the under-23s than Jack does. But if you're picking players off form, as I've said, Grealish last month has to be in there.
So now, Dan, we will go into our preview for the Newcastle game. A lot riding on this, as the Wolves fans have touched on in the comments. Could be in a relegation battle if you don't win this one. Against Steve Bruce's first return to Villa Park since his sacking. Newcastle are 12th in the table, I do believe.
They are 13th.
13th. So obviously they are three or so places above us. If you're Steve Bruce, you're thinking, wow, they're much better off, aren't they?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously he's inherited the job at Newcastle. He's had a lot of money to spend. He didn't really get Newcastle up. Obviously, he was with Sheffield Wednesday last time. For him, the grass may seem greener, although it's only recently he's come into this form, isn't he? They won 3 games in a row.
Yeah.
Now they've propelled themselves up there. They looked pretty doomed, to be fair. How do you see this game faring out, Dan, based on Newcastle's form?
It's going to be. They're in a relatively good patch right now. So you know, if we take it right back to that win over Man United, when Matty Longstaff scored, they fell 1-0 away to Chelsea, which is a good score. You know, in fairness, before 100 with Wolves, win away against West Ham, and a win against Newcastle. But you know, the last 2 wins have only been by 1 goal. They haven't been massively convincing against West Ham, who have completely capitulated in recent months. It's got to be said, and Bournemouth are at home. So yes, you know, they're doing well. They're in a better position than us, but look, they're not invincible. You know, I think they've got a good creative hub. I really like Saint-Maximin. You know, he's going to cause similar kind of problems to Adama Traore, and that's where I hope that we learn from the Wolves game, is that those players are going to be playing in very similar ways, and we really got exploited in the wide areas.
Yeah.
If we allow Saint-Maximin and those kind of players to get into those wide areas and cause the problems, we're going to struggle again. I wouldn't be as confident going into this game if it was 3 o'clock on a Saturday. I think their 8 o'clock on a Monday night makes a big difference. I think we've all seen what Villa Park can be like under the lights this season. I think we've got to create an Everton-esque kind of atmosphere, and if those Villa boys can get us a goal up, then I think Villa Park will get right behind them, and I am quite confident. But it is a must-win game, mate. I hate to say that because, you know, I don't want to heap unnecessary pressure, but with the games that we have coming up, I think we go Chelsea, Man United, Leicester, is it?
Yeah, and then Sheffield United away, which is a tough place to go.
Big games. You know, it could be a month or so before we realistically get points again, or you know, maybe there's a draw in there if we're lucky. So it's a really big game.
Do you think as well, coming off the back against Wolves, obviously Newcastle recently have been playing a similar formation and system, which is strange to see Steve Bruce play 3 at the back. Do you think they will pose a similar threat and sort of solidarity that Wolves did? Because Wolves were sort of relatively solid at the back. We didn't really trouble them that much going forward. Do you think Dean's going to have a lot to think about in terms of his personnel, who he starts in the front 3? Because obviously you're man for man when it's a back 3, 5, however you want to describe it. You know, there's going to be a lot of work cut out for them.
Yeah, exactly, and I think, you know, this lends itself to something that we spoke about last week, was that again Wesley is going to be up against 3 centre backs. Grealish will be back, which will make a big difference in terms of how we link the midfield and attack and how we play through the thirds. But if we go back to what we did against Wolves and just playing those kind of hopeless long balls towards Wesley, the likes of Lascelles are just going to dominate that. You know, there's 3 of them against 1 there, and as I said, those wing areas need to be watched, because, you know, Almiron and Yedlin on that right is going to be good, with some Maximan and Willems on the other side. So those are important. I think we struggled a lot last time because of the midfield. I don't really think Nakamba and Luis particularly worked together too well against Wolves. So hopefully we see a bit of change, and I think a reshuffle is definitely needed. But I think we've got the personnel to do it.
Definitely. And looking at another expensive Brazilian striker, obviously I wrote an article the other day saying that Wesley deserves more respect than he's getting, which led to quite a few comments of people saying, oh, we can't have opinions anymore, blah blah blah. No, you can have opinions, just don't slate our £22 million striker, who scored 4 goals, by the way. A 1-in-3 ratio so far this season is not bad. Comparing that to Joelinton, who cost double the price, who's only scored 1 goal this season, do you think he's going to be causing much trouble for us?
No, I don't, mate. No, I is the answer to that one. Look, Villa fans, you know, this is. I think it's important that we speak about this, actually, Dan. We almost seem to relish in our players going away and doing badly on international duty. Like, I saw Wesley had that chance against Argentina. Yeah, he could have done more with it. Yeah, I'm sure he'd probably be the first to acknowledge that. But Villa fans seem to genuinely be rejoicing in the comments under those videos that he'd done that, like, laughing at him, mocking him. I saw Oyan as well last night. Shot gets put through his legs on the volley from, I think it's honestly about 5 yards out.
Can't do much about that, can you?
And again, people are mocking him. People genuinely seem happy to see these players do badly. And it's toxic, mate. It's disgusting. These players are not going to improve. They're not going to want to improve. They're not going to want to come out there and prove themselves to a fan base that seems to relish in them doing badly. It's so bizarre. Look, Wes is a great striker. He plays for Brazil.
He's the first ever capped Brazilian football player to represent Aston Villa.
You can't. He did. He came on against Argentina. In that, I can't believe
Messi played.
I can't believe we're judging him in that game. To be honest with you, I think he had. I watched the game. He had about 15 minutes at the end.
Didn't have a lot of time to do anything really.
Brazil are hopeless.
And they were chasing the game.
Yeah, they are. Brazil are hopeless at the moment. If they've got a game, I think it's today actually. The time we're recording. Where they play South Korea, and if they don't win that's 7 games without a win. It'll be the first time in Brazil's history where they've managed to go 7 games without a result. They're a terrible side. They came up against Lionel Messi's Argentina and they lost.
It was only 2-1 as well. It was a respectable result.
Explain to me how that's Wesley's fault. But I want to see him come back. Hopefully he's freeing himself. He looks so happy on international duty, Wesley. He seems so happy to be there, and I saw lots of photos with him with the likes of Rodrigo and all these players, and he seemed it was just great to see. He looked so happy, especially in that press conference that he did after training, a big smile on his face. So I'll for one will welcome him back. I'll give him big round of applause when I see him on Monday night, because it's a credit to the club. It's brilliant that we've got not 1 but 2 players representing Brazil. Stop getting on his back and just enjoy it for what it is, mate.
Yeah, I mean, as well, it's bad enough that the Villa fans are getting on his back, but the Brazilians are also getting on his back as well. There's been some reported backlash because he's playing for his national team, but he's never played in Brazil. It's completely ludicrous.
Yeah, like this, I said, I kind of actually wondered when we signed Wesley whether he'd actually play for Brazil, because he's not a typically Brazilian striker. And if you look at the strikers that they have in that squad, the likes of Firmino, Jesus, I know Wesley's a little way off that kind of ability, but he's a very different player in that regard, and he's not typically Brazilian. And I kind of looked at more established Brazilian players like William Jose and Jonas, and those kind of players that are the biggest, more physical strikers that never really got a shout with Brazil. It's the reason Diego Costa chose to represent Spain, was because he never felt he'd get the look in with it, because he wasn't typically Brazilian in his playing style. And so I was slightly surprised to see him get the call up, but 4 goals and an assist. And as you rightly said, comparing that to other Brazilian strikers that are uncapped, like Joel Linton, it's
even
easy.
cap strikers like Gabriel Jesus, I mentioned in my article, has the same goals to game ratio as Wes does this season.
Well, yeah, I mean, everyone is saying how good Sebastian Haller is. He's got 4 goals, 1 assist, exactly the same as Wesley, and he cost half the price.
Literally. So get off Wes's back.
Yeah, we seem to be. I'm getting tired of saying this every week, guys. Look, I really hope he comes back, because I felt like people were starting to criticise him. Then he had that Norwich game, and that kind of silenced the doubters a little bit. I'm hoping he comes and he gets another goal against Newcastle. It'll be a big one as well. I'm really looking forward to it.
Me too, mate. It's going to be a good night under the lights at Villa Park on Monday. Definitely looking forward to it. Any final words from you, Dan?
No, I think. Oh yeah, I do actually. This man right here is doing absolute bits at the moment for the site. Everything is getting a revamp, all the thumbnails and everything like that. The YouTube channel is going to look completely different in a few days, so show him some love for that, because he really deserves it. We're going to have a really nice little drawing of Grealish that you've done, which are on this thumbnail, which is going to be really good. So please show Dan some love for that. We'd really appreciate it.
Legends. If you enjoyed this, please do subscribe. We are closing in on 1,600 subscribers, I believe. And comment your thoughts below on how you think this game is going to go, and whether Grealish should represent England. Is it too late? Let us know in the comments. Also say hi if you're a Wolves fan listening as well, because we know you're going to get the notification.
We appreciate you guys too.
Up the Villa.
Chester's essential to fulfilling this got potential. It's a main man, a hero. He's the main leader of the gang. Chester. 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 He's the leader of the